He thought the fatigue was just age. But when they called him crazy for trying to save his neighbors, everything shifted. What he did next shook the entire system. You ever wake up and feel like your bones had a meeting without you and voted to quit? That was me at 5:03 a.m. every damn day. I'm 74, not dead. But you'd think from the way people talk to me that I should have already picked a headstone and called it a life. That morning started like all the others. Cold coffee, aching joints, the sound of birds arguing outside my window like two old women in church pews. And yes, the weight. Not the one from arthritis. The other one. The one that creeps into your chest and whispers, "You don't matter anymore." I ignored it, like I always do, pulled on my old fleece jacket, the one my wife used to hate, and grabbed 2 garbage bags. Mine, and one from Mrs. Green in 4B. Sweet woman. Broke her hip in January. Since then, I take out her trash like clockwork. Makes me feel useful. Or at least, it used to. As I creaked down the stairs like the Tin Man with no oil, I heard him. My nephew. Jacob. 29. Unemployed. Living in my apartment until he gets back on his feet. It's been 11 months. The only thing he's back on is my last nerve. He was on the phone. His voice cut through the stairwell like a rusty saw. He's out there with trash bags again, acting like Captain America or some superhero. Like, chill, Grandpa. Nobody needs your hero routine. I stood there, holding the bags, frozen in place like some sad punchline in a cheap sitcom. Except no laugh track. Just my heart, thudding like an old washing machine. You see, it's not the insult that gets you. It's the casual cruelty. The way people say things like they're talking about a piece of broken furniture. When I walked back into the apartment, I didn't say a word. Just set the bags by the door and nodded. "Bit chilly this morning," I muttered. He didn't even look up. That was the first crack. The kind you don't notice until the whole wall gives in. The next few days were like a highlight reel of humiliation. Little things. Death by 1,000 polite refusals. At the grocery store, I reached for a can on the top shelf for a woman half my age. She yanked it from my hand and snapped, "I'm not helpless, you know." In the parking lot, I held a door open for a guy in his 40s. He looked at me like I'd handed him a live grenade. "I can open my own doors," he grumbled. Even the mailman started leaving my letters crooked in the box, like I didn't have the dexterity to reach them straight. Apparently, basic decency had an expiration date, and mine passed around the time I turned 70. Jacob, who I now call Lord of Freeloaders, decided to throw a party. Of course, I wasn't told. I just came out of the bathroom and found 5 strangers sitting on my couch eating pizza like it was their living room. One of them, guy with a man bun and socks that had tropical leaves on them, looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Whoa, I didn't know your grandpa was still up." Still up? I live here. I wanted to say something, but I didn't. Not then. I just watched as they laughed, drank my soda, left greasy stains on my furniture, and used my toilet without flushing. Classy. Later that night, I found my army photo in the trash. The one from when I was 22, wearing dress blues. Jacob said it must have fallen off the shelf. Funny, that frame had been sitting there untouched for 10 years. Every morning, I woke up more tired than the night before. Muscles stiff, vision blurry. My heart beating like it was trying to escape. But it wasn't just my body. My spirit, and yeah, I still got one, felt like it was fading. Like I was becoming invisible. Like the world had quietly agreed I was no longer part of the conversation. It wasn't just aging. I knew my body well. I'd seen aging. This felt like sabotage, like I was being slowly erased by people who were too busy scrolling short videos to notice the man sitting 10 feet away from them used to jump out of helicopters. Jacob came home late one night, reeking of vape and sarcasm. I was watching a documentary on veterans, something he loudly referred to as boomer history. "You ever think," he said, dropping his keys with a smirk, "that maybe you like being tired all the time because it makes you feel needed?" I looked at him. Really looked. This was the boy I'd taken in when his mom kicked him out, fed him, clothed him, gave him a roof. And here he was, telling me I was addicted to my own exhaustion. "You don't get to talk to me like that in my house," I said, voice steady but low. "Your house?" he laughed. "You mean this museum of dust and sweaters? You're just mad the world moved on and forgot to take you with it." I got angry. Not the kind of anger that makes you yell or throw plates. I mean the deep, marrow-deep kind of rage that comes from knowing you were wronged and no one's going to fix it for you. The next morning, I didn't make oatmeal. I didn't take out Mrs. Green's trash. I didn't check the mailbox. I packed Jacob's bags, folded every shirt, put his chargers in a plastic bag. Left a note. "This house isn't a waiting room. It's a home. One you don't respect. Time to find a new couch to rot on." When he got home that evening, he didn't say anything. Just stood there. Blinked. Then he left. And you know what? That night, for the first time in months, I slept. Deep. Like a man who wasn't carrying someone else's weight. What happened next changed everything. You won't want to miss how it all unfolded. Because what I discovered after kicking him out wasn't just about family. It was about something much deeper. Stay with me. You'd think kicking a freeloading nephew out of your home would bring peace. You'd be right. But peace? It has a twisted sense of humor. Because as soon as the door closed behind Jacob, the silence started talking. And I don't mean metaphorically. I mean loud, obnoxious, echo in the hallways kind of silence. The kind that sneaks up on you and reminds you that while you were busy trying to be strong and decent, everyone else decided you were just inconvenient. No one congratulated me for standing up for myself. Not one "good for you" from the neighbors. Not even a "you okay, Bill?" from the guy next door who I helped pull out of his snowed-in car last winter. Instead, I got looks. The kind of looks you reserve for a guy who's finally lost it. Mrs. Green stopped talking to me. I guess Jacob told her I kicked him out into the street like a dog. Yeah, because dogs get homemade lasagna, free Wi-Fi, and cable TV for 11 months. The mailman, he started skipping my doorstep entirely. Just threw my envelopes in a pile with the junk flyers. I found my electric bill halfway under a Chinese takeout menu for Dragon Express. Fitting. And as for my sleep, it came back. For a week. Then the real fatigue hit. Waking up was like dragging a sack of bricks up a hill. My bones didn't ache. They protested. My hands tingled. My heart had this dull, weird thud every morning, like a warning light blinking in a car you can't afford to fix. But the worst part? I was still tired. All the time. Like someone was stealing hours of rest from my night and selling them on eBay. At first, I thought, maybe I'm just sad. You know, lonely. After all, I did just go full Rambo on my last house guest. But deep down, I knew this wasn't emotional. This was physical, biological, systemic. So I did what any modern old man does. I Googled it. Apparently, if you type "fatigue after 70, the internet thinks you've got 3 weeks to live. Between heart failure, liver issues, and thyroid conspiracies, I was about ready to write my own eulogy. But then I found it. An article titled, "It Might Not Be Age. Hidden environmental fatigue triggers in seniors. Sounds like some wellness nonsense, right? Wrong. Because in that article, buried between ads for overpriced turmeric pills and testimonials from retired yoga instructors, were three words that made my skin crawl: carbon monoxide exposure. Now let me tell you something. I'm no hypochondriac. I survived 2 years stationed in places where air quality meant you could breathe without gagging. But something about those words stuck with me. So I called a guy, HVAC specialist, real salt-of-the-earth type with knuckles like walnuts, and a voice that sounded like gravel in a blender. He came by, did his thing, and 30 minutes later, he looked at me with that face. You know the one. The "you're not gonna like what I'm about to say" face. Sir, your boiler's leaking trace amounts of CO2 into your vent system. Been going on for months, maybe longer. My jaw dropped. Then I laughed. Because of course. Of course. Here I was thinking my life was draining out of me because I was old, useless, unwanted. And it turns out my damn heating system was slowly poisoning me like it was getting revenge for being older than disco. You'd think this would be a moment of clarity. A triumphant, "told you so." But when I called my building manager, he sighed. Sighed. You sure it's not just wear and tear? You know how older folks get sensitive to stuff. Yeah, sensitive. That's me. Sensitive to dying in my sleep from gas exposure. When I mentioned other tenants might be in danger, he waved it off. We've had no complaints. You're the only one making noise. Well, maybe that's because I'm the only one who woke up long enough to notice. So I wrote a letter, printed out the inspection results, sent it to every apartment on the floor. Guess what happened? 3 people thanked me. 2 told me to mind my business. 1 left dog poop at my door. Real mature. I sent the story to a local newspaper. They ghosted me. Not even a "thanks, Grandpa." Just nothing. But my neighbor's niece, college student, 21, nose ring, laptop with a bunch of political stickers, saw my flyer and asked if she could amplify my voice. I didn't know what that meant, but I said yes. She made a TikTok. A TikTok. With my boiler. My inspection report. My old man face saying, I thought I was just tired. Turns out, I was being poisoned by my own home. It got 2.4 million views in 2 days. Suddenly, I was a CO2 awareness advocate. Whatever that means. The building finally brought in a crew, fixed the boiler, gave me a coupon for a free air filter. That's it. The management company never apologized. The neighbors? They still think I'm the old coot who made everything dramatic. Jacob texted me. First message in weeks. Yo, saw your video. You're kind of famous now. LOL, I didn't respond, because this wasn't about fame. It wasn't about a leaky pipe or a viral post. It was about something we don't talk about enough. How quick the world is to dismiss the elderly. How people would rather call you grumpy than admit they're ignoring you. How tired becomes your label instead of a symptom. This is the climax. Everything you've been waiting for, it's right here. But it's not over. Stay with me for Chapter 3, because what I do next, let's just say it shakes more than just my building. So there I was, the accidental star of a viral video. A 74-year-old man with a slow boiler death story and a face that said, I told you kids this wasn't just in my head. You'd think, after uncovering a literal health hazard in my own home and going mini-viral on the internet, the world would roll out a red carpet. Spoiler, they didn't. Instead, the management company called me a disruption to tenant harmony. Tenant harmony? You mean the harmony where you slowly cook people in invisible gas and hope no one notices? They don't sue you. They don't apologize. They politely retaliate. 3 days after the TikTok blew up, I got a notice in my mailbox. As per our recent inspection, your unit has been identified as overdue for internal modifications. A 48-hour access notice is hereby issued for contractor assessment. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. That contractor showed up with 2 guys in neon vests, a clipboard, and attitudes like they were about to demolish a meth lab. They walked in, looked around like my recliner was hiding contraband, took notes on everything, and I mean everything, and told me my storage practices didn't meet code. Sir, your hallway closet is overcapacity for elderly tenants with mobility needs. Overcapacity? It's a broom, a vacuum, and a winter coat, not a bunker full of explosives. I asked them, "You guys checking everyone's closets, or just mine?" They smiled, didn't answer. I contacted every local news station, gave them the story raw, no sugarcoating, told them about the gas leak, the management's non-response, and now their quiet campaign to discredit me. Only one called back. Channel 8. Evening slot. Hosted by a guy named Mike Langford. Think polyester suit and eyebrows that should have their own zip code. He brought a camera crew. They mic'd me up. I stood in my living room, heart pounding like I was storming Omaha Beach again. "Mr. McCabe," Mike said, "why did you decide to speak out?" I looked straight into the lens. Because I thought I was just tired. Turned out, I was being ignored, dismissed, and quietly poisoned. And the worst part? That's not even the part that made people mad. What really got under their skin was that I said something. 10,000 views, then 30, then 80. People started commenting things like, "Why aren't senior voices taken seriously? This man is a hero. My mom lives in a place like that. Now I'm checking her heating." By the end of the week, I had interviews with 2 senior advocacy organizations and a message from the office of the local city council member. She wanted a meeting. So I went. We sat in a windowless room, fluorescent lights buzzing. I told them everything, not just about the gas, but about the silence. About how the older generation isn't just fading, it's being erased by polite negligence. The councilwoman, Rebecca, nodded a lot. She wrote things down. Then she leaned forward and said, "What you're describing isn't unique. It's systemic. But your voice? It's rare. We need people like you, willing to make noise." And I thought, finally, someone gets it. Now let me be clear. I've done scary things in my life. I've jumped out of helicopters. I've changed my own furnace filters. But speaking in front of people? That's a different beast. Still, I agreed. Because why not? I already lost my nephew, my male privileges, and my closet's code compliance. The event was called Voices of Elders. Nice title. Sounds like a band that plays at state fairs. I walked on stage. The lights hit my eyes. The room was full. Mostly folks my age, some younger, a few teenagers looking like they were forced to be there for extra credit. I cleared my throat. And then I said, "They told me I was just tired because of my age. But let me ask you something. Since when does being over 70 mean you have to stop feeling heard?" Silence. Then a few nods. So I kept going. They say we're cranky, bitter, out of touch. But maybe we're just tired of watching the world pretend we disappeared. That got them. People started clapping. I ended with this. The world will try to treat you like you're a problem. But sometimes the real problem is that you stopped raising your hand and saying, "Hey, I'm still here." Standing ovation. Me. The old man who used to just take out the trash. Certified. Gold seal. Fancy handwriting. It was from the building's legal team. They wanted me to sign a waiver, stating that the gas issue was resolved and that I agreed not to pursue any further public statements about the incident. They even offered a $200 concession check for my trouble. I laughed. $200? For nearly dying quietly? I wrote back, keep the check. I've got a better idea. I'm writing a column for the Senior Times. It's called Still Awake. First edition drops next month. Guess what it's about? The final chapter brings everything full circle, with justice, impact, and a transformation no one saw coming. Don't miss it, because how this ends? It's not just about me. It's about all of us. Let me tell you something about momentum. It's like arthritis, slow to start, but once it kicks in, there's no stopping it. After I sent back that laughable $200 concession check with a polite "go sit" on it, I figured I'd done enough. Maybe I could go back to drinking lukewarm coffee, yelling at squirrels, and minding my own business. But the thing about speaking out, once you taste the feeling of being heard, of people actually listening to you, of walking into a room and seeing eyes that don't glaze over, you don't go back. The Senior Times published my first piece. Title? Still Awake. A Senior's Guide to Raising Hell Politely. I expected a few pity reads, maybe a couple of retirement home chuckles. Instead, I got 87 emails in the first week, from people all over the country. My dad went through the same thing. Nobody listened. My apartment was leaking gas for 6 months. You inspired me to speak up. I'm 72. I thought being tired was just my new reality. Turns out it was mold in the vents. Thank you, every single one hit like a freight train. I realized something. It wasn't just me who was tired. We were all tired. Of being tired, and of being told it was normal. I got a voicemail from a community liaison officer. That's fancy corporate speak for somebody who gets paid to sound calm while delivering threats with a smile. Mr. McCabe, we'd like to invite you to join our Tenant Advisory Council. We value your perspective and would appreciate your insights as we review new policy drafts. Ah, so now I was valuable. Funny how that works. I went to the meeting. They sat me at the end of a long glass table, surrounded by younger men in tailored blazers and women in uncomfortable shoes, pretending they just love affordable housing. They started with polite updates, maintenance schedules, elevator repairs, new flower beds. Then they turned to me. Mr. McCabe, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share? I smiled, leaned forward. Yeah, I have one. Stop pretending you care when you only act after something goes viral. Dead silence. I continued. You didn't fix my boiler because it was the right thing to do. You fixed it because you got caught. And you're only asking me here now because you think I might cause another headache. Then I pulled out a file. Inside, 26 printed emails from other tenants who'd shared similar experiences with their own units. Heating, plumbing, mold, noise complaints, all ignored until they stopped being quiet. You've got a problem, not just with infrastructure, but with attitude. And it starts here. So either you fix it, or I keep writing. Mic dropped. Politely, of course. Over the next few months, I didn't slow down. I wrote 3 more columns. Did a podcast interview. Still don't know what a podcast is, but the host was lovely. Got invited to a local senior advocacy board. People started recognizing me. At the pharmacy. Hey, are you that guy from the internet? At the diner. My wife printed your article and taped it to the fridge. She says, I'm not allowed to act tired anymore unless I've checked for carbon monoxide. At first, I was uncomfortable with it. I'm not a hero. I didn't storm Washington or invent solar panels. But then I realized maybe being a decent, angry, stubborn old man is a kind of heroism now. You remember Jacob, my nephew, professional couch surfer, emotional black hole with a beard. He showed up on my porch one Sunday, looked thinner, less smug. "Hey," he said, "can we talk?" I paused, let him squirm a little. Then I stepped outside. We sat. He didn't look me in the eyes. "I saw what you've been doing," he said. I was kind of a jerk back then. Kind of? That's like saying fire is a bit warm. But I didn't say it. I just nodded. "I guess I never realized how much crap you were carrying. I thought you were just stuck in the past. Turns out you were 5 steps ahead." He pulled out a folded letter. "I signed up for HVAC certification training. Thought maybe I could actually fix something for once." I looked at him, saw a spark I hadn't seen since he was 10, building robots out of cereal boxes. "Proud of you," I said. Didn't add, "Don't screw it up." He smiled. "Not because I fixed the heating. Not because my body miraculously reversed time. Because for the first time in years, I wake up with purpose. I used to think being old meant being done. That you fade out, move aside, make room. But now I know. Sometimes the only thing fading is the world's attention span. And if you speak just a little louder, if you stop trying to be the nice, quiet, senior citizen, they have to listen. Maybe you're tired too. Maybe you're wondering if it's just age. Maybe you're waiting for someone to say it's okay to be angry, to fight back, to demand better. So here it is. You matter. You're not too old to raise hell. And sometimes, waking up tired is the clearest sign you're still alive. And the world still needs to hear from you. But not the end of the message. Share this. Talk about it. Make some noise. The world isn't going to fix itself. But you're not done yet.